Boomtown is coming. The consumer activity is there. Let's get ready for it. Let's get our employees back, and let's get ready, because we're going to have a heck of a fall and winter.
Tonight, the man famous for rescuing bars and restaurants, John Taffer, tells us how these places can survive without those workers he mentioned. Some aren't surviving. We'll talk with him. Plus, blast off. The richest man in the world goes to the top of the world. Tonight, 2 astronauts on what it's like to sit there waiting to take off, and what's good about the billionaire space race. And one of the Texas Democrats who fled the state to avoid a vote, then tested positive for COVID, joins us from quarantine ahead. The Donlon Report starts right now. Good evening. Great to have you with us. Once again, in America, there is a COVID-19 surge fueled by the Delta variant. COVID-19 cases up nearly 200% over the past 2 weeks. Yesterday, more than 35,000 people tested positive. Over the same time, COVID-19 deaths are up 44%. 268 people died yesterday alone. Infection levels have surged, especially in Gulf states, notably Florida, Louisiana, and also Arkansas. The congressional attending physician is now saying, quote, this viral variant is much more contagious and accounts for most disease transmission now in the U.S. Several vaccinated congressional staff members and 1 member of Congress have acquired infection in this circumstance. And now a vaccinated White House staffer has also tested positive.
Let me confirm that yesterday a fully vaccinated White House official tested positive for COVID-19 off campus. The White House medical unit has conducted contact tracing interviews and determined no close contacts among White House principals or staff or the president.
Last week, Texas state Democrats bolted Austin in protest of the state's new voting rights bill. Now 6 of the members have tested positive. And that is where we begin tonight with Texas State Representative Trey Martinez Fisher representing the 166th District in San Antonio. Thanks for your time, Representative. We appreciate it. Let's start with how you're feeling. How are you doing?
You know what? Surprisingly, I feel pretty good. I have a low-grade fever. You know, I had a fantastic Sunday morning. I had a workout. I read my newspaper. I drank my coffee. I had no idea I was positive for COVID until we were about to start a staff meeting. And it's our practice to do a rapid test before those meetings. And lo and behold, I had a positive read. I was really surprised by that because I felt terrific. Waited 15 minutes, took another test, was positive again. I mean, it just really goes to show you how serious that Delta variant is. But it also shows you, how good that vaccine is because I'm only experiencing very, very minimal symptoms.
Which vaccine did you get?
I got the Pfizer.
All right. And so you've been there, by my count, 8 days now. I think you said Sunday you were feeling all right. Monday was the test. How did you find out where? Do you have any idea where you contracted it?
Sure. So I tested negative Friday and Saturday, and I was positive on Sunday morning. I don't know. There are a handful of other people who have contracted COVID-19. Some of them, have chosen to protect their medical privacy. From the folks that I've talked to, they weren't really, people that I, was spending a lot of time with. I mean, we were meeting in big community rooms. We all, served food from the same serving lines and so forth. So it's anybody's guess. I think that.
So you're in your room right now, right? Your hotel room. What do you have? Do you have to isolate now for how long?
So I'm quarantining for 10 days, and I'll soon, start testing in a couple of days to see if I'm still positive. I will continue my work. I mean, luckily, we had a conference this week. We had the conference already virtual. Some of our presenters were going to be presenting virtually. We had some members of our Democratic caucus that preferred to do the conference from their room. So now we have an expanded virtual platform. I'm able to participate in all the discussions virtually. And then, of course, I've turned my ironing board here in the room into my platform to talk with you. And so, this is my mini studio here.
Well, you know what people are saying, Representative, and that is that this has backfired on you right now. I think maybe you made your point, but now this is getting messy.
Well, that's a surprise to me because that's not what I'm hearing from my hometown and city of San Antonio. I represent a lot of hardworking men and women in San Antonio, 180,000 of them. They take their voting rights pretty seriously. We knew this trip was going to come with challenges, personal challenges, financial challenges. It's emotional of everything we're going through. But, you know, contracting COVID was not in the plan.
Sure.
Fortunately, I am experiencing minor symptoms, and it will not impact my work.
Well, I guess the other precedent that we've talked about here is that if this is our default, and that if a party doesn't like a bill that's coming down the pike, the first option, or at least one of their options, is to leave town. And this is what people are worried about the next time. What if the Republicans do it to you?
Well, you know what? The only way we're going to stop that is we have to take a page out of the Texas Constitution and rip it out, because the requirement of a quorum is in our state constitution. It's been there for a very long time. And as a matter of fact, up here in Washington, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham is talking about breaking quorum to prevent a vote on the president's infrastructure package. So listen, both sides use it. These are tools in the bucket. It's only been used 5 times in the history of the state of Texas. So this isn't something that happens all the time.
You're saying do away with the quorum requirement?
Well, I mean, if there's a criticism as to it being used, well, then if folks don't want it to be used, well, we just have to change the Constitution.
I guess the question, though, Representative, is where does that leave the political process? You know the point.
Well, I mean, I think I know the point, but the point is to represent our districts, follow our rules. We take a note to the United States Constitution and to the Texas Constitution. We're doing our jobs.
Right.
And so this has been in place. We didn't make this up. This has been in place for a very long time.
Quickly, before we go, this bill's going to pass in Texas, right? It's inevitable, right? You can't run forever.
We cannot run forever, but I don't know when or if it will pass.
All right, we will see. Texas State Representative Trey Martinez-Fisher, we appreciate your time. Thanks for answering the questions, and I hope you feel better soon.
Thank you.
Best day ever. Those words today from a man who's had a lot of great days, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. And there's a good chance you started your day drawn to your TV, watching Bezos and 3 others blast off into space, including the youngest and the oldest to make that journey. It was a spectacular launch from a remote West Texas location. Look at that. It almost didn't look real. At least I didn't think. It looked more like NASA animation. Look at that. There's been a lot of debate and discussion about the billionaire space race. Bezos himself acknowledged that. Is it a waste of time and money that could be better spent on any number of causes on Earth? Well, setting the critics aside for a minute anyway, this was undeniably cool and exciting to watch. It came on the 52nd anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon landing, a date chosen just for that historical significance. And if you're of a certain age, as I am, I couldn't help but think back to my elementary school days when the teacher rolled the TV into the classroom on that big AV stand, and we all watched as America proudly ventured into space and even walked on the moon. There was that same tension today, knowing the risk that went into this launch, the technology, the ingenuity, the entrepreneurship. I'll be honest, there were some times this morning when I was a little bit nervous, a moment or two when we held our collective breath, because the miscues in our space history certainly are indelibly etched in our memories. I was on the edge of my seat waiting for the booster to fire off its landing thrusters and mesmerized as it settled comfortably back onto Earth. Then waiting for the parachutes to open and gently carry the capsule and crew drifting down to a picture-perfect landing. And it came on the heels, as we know, of another success story just 9 days ago, billionaire Richard Branson and his crew floating in zero gravity after heading to space on his Virgin Galactic rocket plane. Where does it lead? Where does it take NASA and space exploration in the future? Colonizing the moon, perhaps? What about Mars? Much of that, of course, yet to be seen. But today we saw rookie civilian astronauts touching down wearing cowboy hats after a wild ride and popping champagne. That was something hopefully we all got a minute to watch, admire, and celebrate. Joining me now, 2 people who certainly did all 3 of those things, astronaut Jose Hernandez and former NASA astronaut and Colonel Terry Virts. Colonel, let's start with you. What's it like? Is it hard to stay calm when you're sitting on top of a rocket waiting for someone to light that fuse?
Well, good to see you again, Jose. And, you know, on my first flight, what I did was I printed out some doctor jokes and had them on a Velcro clip. And because our flight surgeons could listen to us talking, but they couldn't talk back to us on the intercom. So that was my way to keep the crew loose, because you're strapped in for a couple hours in the space shuttle. I don't think these guys were strapped in for that long. But
right. What was one of your doctor jokes?
I don't know. How many doctors does it take to screw in a lie? I forgot what they were. That was 10 years ago.
Okay.
Whatever they were funny.
Okay, I'm sure. Jose, why was this so cool to watch? You know, we talked last week and we talked about how excited you were to see this. What were you looking for and what made it so cool?
Yes, Joe. First of all, I want to say hello to Terry. And what made it so cool, Joe, is the fact that this is the 3rd company independent of NASA that demonstrated the ability ability to take humans into space. And so it shutters in a new era of space tourism. I think the end game for these companies are a little different, but they're certainly using space tourism as a common denominator to start their human space flight programs.
Terry, I think what Jose said there is true, and part of what made this so compelling to me anyway, as I thought about this, is that we've been away from this for so long. We haven't seen a space shuttle launch in 10 years, so that was what added to it, I think, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see humans launching from America again. It's good to see them here in my home state of Texas, and you know, what Jose mentioned about our companies, that's 3 different American companies that have launched people into space, which is just pretty amazing. And that's something, you know, the world watches America. They watch our good and our bad. And this ingenuity and innovation is definitely one of the good things, one of our strengths.
Jose, it's that launch, I think, that got me, as I mentioned, in our history with launches. We haven't seen them in a long time. Did you get those same nerves I did as you watched today? It was certainly different than I think the vibe during the Branson flight, because that was, you know, more of the rocket plane versus an actual launch.
Yes, this was a little different in the sense that it starts off the ground, the engines light up, and you're basically on a bomb, and a controlled explosion bomb that propels you up into space. And so, yeah, it kind of ups the game a little bit, and you're kind of worried that, you know, hoping something doesn't happen during those crucial seconds of when the engines light up.
Terry, were there any points when you were nervous watching this today?
Well, I wasn't necessarily nervous. I know my STS-130 space shuttle crewmate, Nick Patrick, is one of the managers at Blue Origin that was responsible for getting this mission going. I know he was probably a little bit nervous, but the flight was so fast. I think it was roughly 11 minutes, a little shorter than that. I mean, the ride that Jose and I took into space was 8.5 minutes. So it took us as long to get into orbit as this entire launch and landing just about. So it really struck me how fast that flight was.
The other thing is that both of these systems we've seen over the last 9 days are completely reusable, Jose. And that was something people watched and looked at. And I think it was the paint job on what we saw today that looked a little deceiving, because it almost looked like it was an old spacecraft.
Yes, it gets a little weathered during the process, but believe me, from a materials perspective, it's reusable and it's very robust. So that's gonna help a lot in bringing the cost down for space tourism. I mean, right now the first ticket was what, $28 million over 11 minutes. That's $2.5 million a minute. That's too expensive, but I'm sure it's gonna come down to a rate eventually where upper middle class person will be able to take the luxury of experiencing weightlessness and looking at Earth from the exterior.
Hey, Colonel, before we let you go, I heard from a lot of people today who said, yeah, this is really cool, but what's the payoff? Why are we doing this? And there are several in space and here on Earth.
You know, I noticed, you know, they said this space shuttle program was about $1 billion a mission. But when I got into orbit and we opened up the payload bay doors, we didn't launch $1 billion bills out into space. That money was all spent here on Earth on good, high-tech, middle-class jobs in Florida and Houston and around America for contractors. So I think the people who work at Virgin Galactic and Blue Origin and SpaceX are very happy to have those good, interesting, high-tech jobs. And so there's a lot of benefits that come from space. And for the money spent on it, I think the return on that investment is better than just about any other way that we could spend money.
And we'll be seeing more. Jose, as I read today, I think there are 2 more planned by the end of the year with Blue Origin. Is that right?
That's correct. 2 more with Blue Origin, and they'll probably end up taking 6 passengers because it doesn't require any pilots. It's fully automatic.
Well, it was great fun to watch today. Like I said, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. It didn't last long, but it was sure fun to watch. Astronaut Jose Hernandez and former NASA astronaut and Colonel Terry Virts, thank you both for your insight tonight. Great to see you both.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Just days before the opening ceremony, are the Tokyo Olympics in doubt? And if the games don't get canceled, what kind of voice will Olympians have? I'll speak with a former U.S. Olympic medalist ahead of the games. Plus, help wanted in the restaurant industry. Not the same thing as now hiring. The hiring is the hard part. We're going to talk to our friend, bar rescue host John Taffer, about saving restaurants that can't stay open because of staff shortages. And don't forget to follow us on social media at The Donlon Report on Twitter. We're back after this. So much for service with a smile. These days, it can sometimes be hard to just find service at all. Check out this sign at a subway in North Carolina. It says, "No one wants to work anymore, therefore we're short-staffed. Please be patient with staff that did choose to come to work today." And there's this. I actually took this one at a Starbucks, looking for baristas offering free coffee, free food, free college, free Spotify, and health insurance. Meantime, this restaurant, Villa Victoria in Montclair, New Jersey, a favorite, in fact, of our show's executive producer, warning customers that if they don't find workers soon, they could shut its doors for good. John Taffer, the host of Bar Rescue, has saved a few bars and restaurants in his day. John, it's great to have you back. Let's start right there. How would you save that pizzeria in New Jersey? They can't find anyone.
Oh, it's a nightmare, Joe. First of all, thank you for having me back. You know, we're experiencing this nationwide, and I've been quite vocal about it, as you know, these past few months. The expanded unemployment benefits are causing people to stay at home. There are so many jobs available today that it's really a candidate's marketplace. Yeah. I have friends that are paying people $200 just to come in for an interview, Joe, just so we can get belly to belly with people and have an opportunity to try to gain an employee. But that's not where it ends. Think about these poor restaurateurs. And, you know, for clarification, there's 1 million restaurants across the country. 70% of those restaurants, Joe, are single unit owners, which means they're family businesses. 13 million employees we had before the pandemic. And we're the largest employer of minority management. So the restaurant industry is a very, very important part of the small business environment. We're the largest employers other than the federal government in the entire nation. Well, now what's happened is, in addition to not being able to get employees, beef prices are up about 11%. Pork prices are up 13%. Poultry prices are up 15%. Dairy, 8%. Wheat is up 35%. So think of this pizza restaurant. Their cheese costs more, the tomato sauce costs more, the dough costs more. We can't get employees, we can't create the sales. My industry is suffocating, Joe. Yeah. If we don't find a solution to the cost inflation of our products and our employee situation, we're going to lose another 100,000 restaurants.
Wow. Well, we want to show you another poll, John, that might add to this as well. It says 4 in 10 hospitality workers don't plan to come back. Many of them want more money, or others just say they don't want to work in restaurants anymore. What do you do with that?
Well, you know, sometimes expectations have been created. They're a little unrealistic. Sure, there's a lot of opportunities for former restaurant and hospitality employees to go to other places. Amazon is one who's been taking an awful lot of hospitality employees. And the industry is a great industry for part-time employees, younger employees. It's a great stepping stone industry for people in between jobs. All of that opportunity has disappeared because there is so many jobs out there. It's the pick of the litter for the candidates. So it's a whole change culture, Joe. We're going to have to look at employee benefits packages. We're going to have to look at new minimum wage packages. My Taffer's Tavern concept, and we've discussed this in the past, I designed the entire kitchen to be computerized and automated so we don't have to have more than 2 employees in the kitchen anymore. I have to rely on technology now because I can't rely on people.
All right, well, we have this Burger King in Nebraska. You probably saw this, John, where the workers walked off the job. And not only that, they announced it on the restaurant's own sign, which is certainly pretty bold. You talked about employees. They now have a lot of leverage. How do they use that leverage without overplaying their hand?
Well, they can use the leverage by commanding more hours. They can use it by commanding a better payroll. But the burden is on the employer. You see, I believe very much, Joe, that employees don't leave places they love working for another $1 or $2 an hour. I don't believe that's the way we are as individuals. So the kind of workplace we create, the kind of culture we create in those workplaces, the kind of teams we create are very, very important to causing our employees to want to come back and stay with us. It isn't all about dollars and cents. It's about total environment.
Yeah, John, let's talk about masks because they're back in LA County, as you know, and they're being recommended again in your hometown of Vegas there. How damaging might this be, and does it matter? Because it sort of feels like we're already beyond that now. We're used to it, walking into the restaurant with the mask, take it off when you eat or drink. It seems like the limits on the crowds were the bigger issue.
I think so too, Joe. Yeah, I was at Mount Rushmore on vacation this week, and I'm up at a national monument, and there are huge signs that say, if you're vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask. If you're unvaccinated, wear a mask to protect everyone else. There were thousands of people at Mount Rushmore, Joe. Nobody was wearing a mask, not one person. So we've given up this whole premise of masks, and I'm concerned, honestly. I'm concerned that people don't get a vaccine, don't wear a mask, that we're perpetuating this, and it becomes a permanent seasonal disease if we don't get some type of a crowd control over where we're at. So I'm concerned, Joe, that people are making the decision as to whether to be vaccinated or not based on hearsay, not facts.
You heard your
Now,
clip.
we're America. People can make their own choice. I'm suggesting that people really get in touch with the facts about the vaccine, understand the hard facts, and then make a decision that's best for you and your family. Don't make that decision based upon hearsay and politics.
Right. John, I'm sure you heard your clip, or I'm guessing you did, that we played on the way in the beginning of the program here, where you said it's going to be a hot fall and winter for the restaurant industry. Do you still feel that way, or are you nervous about this workforce situation?
Well, I feel that way from a customer standpoint, Joe. The customers are coming in droves.
Right.
Las Vegas is packed. The pent-up demand has proven itself. There hasn't taken months to recover. Our restaurants filled up almost instantly. In New York City, when they released the mandates, sales went up 61% in 1 week. So from a customer standpoint, I'm as bullish as ever. The industry has a great opportunity here. It's profitability and employees that are worrying me now.
Right. All right. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed, and we'll continue to enjoy your show, Bar Rescue. John Taffer, it's always great to have you with us. Thank you.
Same here, Joe. Be well.
Ben & Jerry's says it will leave the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Now Israel is calling it the anti-Israel ice cream. Can anyone negotiate this peace accord? We'll have that ahead. And new body cam footage out of Tucson shows a cop chasing down a 20-year-old shooter after he fired on first responders at the scene of a house fire. Wild footage coming up as we continue our Policing in America coverage. Continuing our Policing in America series, dramatic video out of Jamestown, New York. Police officer Mark Conklin was alerted to a possible house fire. When he arrived, he found the home ablaze with an adult and children trapped inside. The dramatic scene captured on that officer's body camera. The footage shows the house on fire as Officer Conklin realized children were stuck inside. Take a listen.
I believe there's entrapment. Where are they? Whoa. Let's go. You're okay. You're okay. What's the address here? What street is that? Williams? All right, go right here. I'm getting people out right now. Hey, how many people are in there? What's the address here? What's the address? Come on. I got you. Come on, jump, I got you.
Oh, what a ride along or run along that is. We have this too, a wild scene in Tucson. Firefighters responding to a call, running for their lives after someone opened fire on them. Police released body cam footage of that tonight. A neighbor who was trying to help firefighters put out the fire was shot and killed. The suspect later rammed his car into a police cruiser. The body cam footage later shows the officers giving that suspect first aid. Well, how about a scoop of Cherry Garcia with a topping of Mideast politics? Ben & Jerry's ice cream, pressured by political activists, has chosen to stop selling ice cream in the Israeli-occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem. Israel calling it a boycott. Palestinian advocates saying on Twitter, this is huge and a message to all complicit companies. The tide of history is turning. Hashtag BDS. The Israeli prime minister now warning of severe consequences for parent company Unilever and that it will act aggressively. The host of News Nation's On Balance, Leland Vittert, joins us now, talking more about how ice cream got embroiled in Middle East politics. First of all, hashtag BDS, what is that?
Boycott, divest, and sanction. So this is basically urging economic warfare on the Israelis to try and pressure them as it relates to the West Bank and how they deal with the Palestinians. And it's important to note here, when you think about what's happening here, the Israelis believe that parts of the West Bank should remain theirs, and we're going to have a two-state solution, if you will, a peace agreement. But economically, these goods come and go. They're trying to, the BDS movement, which is based in a lot of anti-Semitic rhetoric on American college campuses, is trying to get companies to not do business with Israel, boycott, divest, and sanction Israel in order to pressure them. The Israelis view this as an economic warfare, if you will, and they're treating it as an existential crisis. This is Naftali Bennett, who is the new Israeli prime minister. He came out saying that they are going to fight this with everything that they can. He issued a pretty long statement about that. The question going forward is, Ben & Jerry's has decided to brand itself the anti-Israel ice cream, Bennett wrote. We will fight the boycott with full force. The Israelis have a lot of economic tools at their disposal in this war. It's interesting to note, though, how they're going about it. They're going after Unilever, which is the parent company of Israel. This can go both ways. Israel, though, clearly is pretty worried about it.
This is one of those things that makes people wonder why companies get involved in politics.
Right.
It's very complicated, but when you wade into a situation like this, you have to expect backlash, right?
Right. Like any war, it's very easy to start. It's very hard to end for just about anybody. People are asking simply, like, if Ben & Jerry's is so concerned about the plight of the Palestinians, where perhaps is the boycott of China over their ethnic cleansing of the Uyghurs? Valid question, something that Unilever and Ben & Jerry's is going to have to answer if they don't want to be branded as anti-Semitic. And it goes to this larger issue that you brought up about where companies should get involved in social issues, where they should not, and if they do, what kind of backlash they face, unintended consequences.
And some of them are fine with it. I mean, they realize when they get into this that they're going to bite this off, and they're okay with it because it's a stand they want to make. Then when it gets into the media, which it obviously and apparently does in most of these cases, they have other decisions to make. Employees who push back too.
Employees who push back, customers who push back as well, and then all of a sudden boards of directors that push back. These economic wars are very easy to start. They're very hard to end. It's going to be interesting to see if Ben & Jerry's finds an off-ramp. The irony in all of this, and having lived in the Middle East, take a little bit of editorial privilege here, the people who this actually hurts the most is the Palestinians, because they're the ones who own the shops in the West Bank where they're now not allowed to sell Ben & Jerry's. And most of them are the lower wage workers who are driving the trucks and stocking the shelves of Ben & Jerry's that now say they're not going to sell in that area. Ben & Jerry's already facing lawsuits over this.
Wow. All right. And more on this coming up tonight on the show.
See you in about, 26 minutes.
That's it. It's called On Balance. Leland joins you right after our program here on News Nation, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Be sure to stay tuned for that. Thanks, Leland.
If anybody is lying here, Senator, it is you.
All right, here we go again. Another fiery exchange between Senator Rand Paul and Dr. Fauci over the coronavirus today. But is this helping anyone in the mutual fight against the pandemic? We'll discuss that. And a former close advisor of Donald Trump arrested, accused of acting as an agent of a foreign government. Who is Tom Barrack? And how big a deal is this? Next. Former Trump advisor Thomas Barrack has been arrested on charges of acting as an agent of a foreign government, parlaying his close ties to former President Trump to advance the interests of the UAE. Joining me now, News Nation's Joe KHALIL with more on that. Joe?
Yeah, so important to understand who Tom Barrack is. Joe, he's been a long-time person in the inner circle of the former president. He was an advisor on the campaign and eventually on the Trump administration. And yeah, so right now, the 7-count indictment that he's facing is pretty serious for being a foreign agent, essentially, for taking information not only from the UAE and trying to mesh foreign policy that would benefit the UAE, but also taking information from the Trump administration and delivering it the other way to officials back in the United Arab Emirates. So essentially trying to, have some influence over another government is not illegal if you register as a foreign lobbyist. Clearly, he did not register, so he, along with 2 others, are facing now these 7 counts here. And in addition to that, when the FBI found out about this, they tried to ask questions. He allegedly lied to FBI agents, so there's that. He also obstructed their investigation. Hence, you get now this very serious 7-count indictment, and it could be very serious in terms of what he's facing, because all of these charges, Joe, are felonies.
All right, Joe KHALIL, live for us in D.C. Thanks for the update.
I totally resent the lie that you are now propagating, Senator.
What we're alleging is that gain-of-function research was going on in that lab, and NIH funded it.
That is
you can't
not.
get away from it. It meets your definition, and you are obfuscating the truth.
And you are implying that what we did was responsible for the deaths of individual. I totally resent
could
that.
have been.
And if anybody
And it
is
could have been.
lying here, Senator, it is you.
That, of course, Dr. Anthony Fauci and Senator Rand Paul going at it during a Senate hearing on COVID-19 this morning, each calling the other a liar. This sort of finger-pointing, anything but uncommon lately. And joining me now to discuss this and more, host of the Rubin Report and author of Don't Burn This Book, Dave Rubin. Dave, it's good to see you again. We know this is coming every time these two get together, and it makes great TV. There's no doubt about that. But can we agree that it's not helpful?
Yeah, that's a great way to frame this conversation. You know, I watched the clip several times. I analyzed it on my show today, and it's really interesting because, yes, there's a lot of finger pointing and you're a liar, you're a liar. And there's some sort of gray area where, in essence, Rand Paul is saying, hey, we, the NIH, funded gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab. And then the way Fauci answers it isn't a quite full denial. He's saying we funded something that maybe had a, you know, an underneath layer beneath that, something like that. And then at the end, it's like, well, what really is true here? It's just people calling each other liars. Now, the thing is, Fauci, of course, is under oath. And earlier he had said that we don't fund any gain of function. So he may find himself in some hot water. But I think it leads most people to sort of just kind of tune out because they're like, you know what? You watch this, you got people calling each other liars, and look, COVID is still here.
Right. Well, they tune out on gain of function stuff, too, because we're in the weeds, and I'm not a scientist. I mean, I think all of us sort of, no one knows where this thing started, but I think all of us at least are keeping an open mind and hoping to find out someday. Although without China's assistance, I'm not sure how we get there. Let's shift, Dave, to the White House and where they are on this, because there's been a lot happening with President Biden saying Facebook is killing people. You remember that with COVID misinformation, and he walked that back a bit. Here's some of that we'll discuss on the other side.
So I was asked that question about what do I think is happening. Facebook isn't killing people. These 12 people are out there giving misinformation. Anyone listening to it is getting hurt by it. It's killing people. It's bad information. My hope is...
Dave, even if this is well-intentioned, which it likely is this a slippery slope you worry about?
Oh, it's beyond a slippery slope. It's really dangerous what Joe Biden is doing right there. First off, the administration saying that it flags posts for Facebook absolutely is a violation of the First Amendment. They are coercing a supposed private company when it comes to free speech. So that's one thing. But secondly, you know, why isn't he naming these 12 people then? And the reason he's not is because he's sort of signaling to far more than 12 people, hey, stop saying things that are against the administration. Look, be it whether you like it or not, you are allowed to spread misinformation. You are allowed to lie. I would prefer people not do that. But you are in a free society allowed to say what you think. And if we were always banning people for misinformation, there's an awful lot of people on CNN and in this administration, frankly, who would be banned from social media.
Well, you're allowed to say it, but that doesn't mean there might not be some consequences that come with it, especially when you're
of
talking
course,
about
but
these,
not governmental consequences. That's why we have the First Amendment. I would prefer people not lie, of course, but people are going to lie. The question is, should you be penalized, put in jail, or kicked off social media for lying? Because then an awful lot of people ain't going to be on social media anymore.
What do we do about this, Dave? I mean, it almost seems like when you sign in and log on, you should have to click a box that says a lot of this is BS. Understand that on the way in. Use your own brain and do some research and figure out what's true and isn't.
I like that box. You know, I'm running a tech company now, locals.com. I'm going to work on that box. Yeah, like, guys, just note, just FYI, you know, little disclosure, a lot of this is pure bunk. Yeah, that's pretty good.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene kicked off Twitter for 12 hours. I've lost track of why, Dave, but I think it had to do with COVID misinformation. This shouldn't be that hard, right?
Well, look, at this point, we have to decide, are Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, the big platforms, are they platforms or publishers? That's what this is. Are they places where you can spread and share information, whether it's true or not, and all information is treated equally? Or are they, in essence, networks where they then are, it's on them to decide what is going to be on there or not, and then they're legally responsible for it. And in essence, they're doing both right now, and that can't last much longer.
Dave, we want to share one of your recent tweets with our audience because it's quite compelling, and I think it's going to give us an example of why we have to discuss the situation of misinformation on Twitter. I'm extending it here because we can see you dunking, and as you've written here, regulation size. You were not flagged?
That is a fact right there. You know, that is pure factual. I stand by that tweet. That was, look at this. Look at the
information.
45 years old, got a torn ACL in my left knee. Not bad, huh?
Look at that. That's a good inch or two off the ground there. You are elevation. Dave Rubin, the host of the Rubin Report.
That's Air Jordan.
Yeah, and the author of Don't Burn This Book. It's good to see you, Dave. Thanks for your time.
Good to be with you guys.
Russia warns the U.S. should not be deploying so-called hypersonic missiles capable of traveling 9 times the speed of sound, and then launches one of its own. Didn't Biden and Putin just have a summit? Russia launching a missile it claims can travel 9 times the speed of sound, called a hypersonic cruise missile. The launch follows Russian threats that the U.S. should not deploy similar missiles in Europe. The Russian embassy tweeting their short time would leave Russia little to no decision time and raise the likelihood of inadvertent conflict. The Pentagon responding that Russian missiles could carry nukes. The American missiles don't, and so the Russian missiles pose the risk. Former Naval Intelligence Officer John Jordan joins us now. John, get a drink there while you wait, but I'm curious, Russia, and let me get this right, has fired off a hypersonic missile to warn us not to fire off any hypersonic missiles.
Yeah, that's kind of the Russian MO. The Russians, if you'll recall, are the ones that have kicked off this new so-called arms race of not only hypersonic weapons, but extremely fast torpedoes with nuclear weapons and cobalt jackets, whose only purpose is to poison for millennia hundreds and hundreds of miles of coastline. Now, the Russians do have something of a point here in the sense that shortening the reaction time does create something of a dilemma on the part of the Russians, which is kind of a use it or lose it attitude with regard to their nuclear weapons. Remember, they cannot launch nuclear weapons or weapons against U.S. soil from very close to us because we're protected by the oceans and the formidable nature of our Navy. However, the Russians, due to the close proximity of NATO, it is easier for us or a NATO country to launch a nuclear weapon or a decapitating weapon at Russia with a much shorter reaction time. So they do have a point there. And this was kind of the logic which undergirded the 1987 Intermediate Nuclear Forces Treaty between Mikhail Gorbachev and President Reagan. And that was the removal of an entire class of nuclear weapons, the intermediate range ones. And the Russian motivation for that was because they didn't want the Pershings and the cruise missiles so close to their own soil. But that was a treaty between the United States and Russia. And to really deal with some of these issues, China has to be brought in. And that's really the next step.
All right, John Jordan, former military intelligence officer and Hoover Institution member. Good to see you again. Cheers, my friend.
Good to be back.
The Olympics are just a couple days away. We're going to have an Olympic bronze medalist on to talk the games and how political speech might find its way to Tokyo after all. The Olympic Games now just 3 days away, and the International Olympic Committee is relaxing its rules on political speech. Joining me now, a former Olympian herself, Kelly Wells Brinkley. We talked to Will Clay yesterday, and he thinks there will definitely be demonstrations. I'm wondering if you think so, because athletes seem like they have a lot to say, especially what they've been dealing with this year for these games.
Absolutely. I think there should be protests. I think it should be done peacefully and in the right way. But if you have a cause and it's something that's near and dear to your heart, I definitely think that you should stand up and say something about it. It's your time. It's the time that you've earned.
It is, definitely. I mean, you have the spotlight and you have the eyes of the world on you. So do you abide by the rules, which, as I understand it now, will specify where you can and can't do this, and included in the areas you can't are the medal stands, correct?
Right. Nothing on the medal stands, but there's some stuff in the field of play and before and after. So you're going to have to get super creative when you're doing it, but it's a work in progress. And I feel like athletes need to keep fighting for more and more, leeway to protest their causes.
Is that something that the athletes talk about, or do they just do it without saying anything to anyone?
It's a meld of the two. There's definitely very outspoken athletes like Gwen Berry, who is, completely over the top with, how she feels. And then there's some people that are more subtle with it. So there's conversations behind it. But the one thing that we do know is all athletes, we support each other. We may not agree with what someone may be protesting, but we agree that we are people and we have voices and we have opinions. So we should all support each other. It's like a big fraternity, a brother and sisterhood. If one goes, we all got to go.
Kelly, I thought of you today and your experience in 2012 and how this experience for these athletes will be different. And I think about all the things that you enjoyed while you were there. I mean, even from the crowd in the stands to having your family and friends there to watch it, now short of being on the medal stand, which you were, these athletes really aren't going to be able to experience any of that.
Part of the Olympics is like venturing out and visiting the houses of the different sponsors and, looking around the town. Tokyo is such a beautiful city. And I'm so sad that they won't get to experience it like I have in the past and like I did at the Olympics. Your friends and your family won't be able to tour them through the village. They're taking, extreme measures to keep people apart. But if they want the games to continue and to go off without a hitch, this is one of the things that, we do have to sacrifice as athletes to have the games. It's going to be security through the roof. It's going to just be, tight confined spaces and not as much fun, but at least they'll get to have the Olympic rings beside their name. And hopefully some people will bring home some hardware like I got to.
Right. Do you have any doubt that this is going to work, Kelly? You got isolation, you have no fans. They're going to be an asterisk by these games. There will be, right?
Absolutely. I think stuff from the last 2 years, there's going to be asterisks behind it. So they're just going to have to deal with the matter at hand and know that, okay, this may not be an ideal situation, but as an athlete, we are bred to deal with changes as they come. And this is a huge change that they're going to have to deal with. Hopefully they take this in stride and, mark their time in history, because you're never going to get this back.
Right. Kelly Wells Brinkley, it's always great to see you. It's great to have you on the show again. Anytime, you're welcome.
Thanks, guys.
All right, take care. Time for the bite of the night, and it comes from Washington today. The Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers visited the White House and presented President Biden with jersey number 46. MVP Tom Brady gave a few remarks from the South Lawn. Take a listen to what the GOAT had to say.
But we found our rhythm. We got on a roll. Not a lot of people, think that we could have won. And in fact, I think about 40% of the people still don't think we won.
I understand that.
You understand that, Mr. President?
I understand that.
Yeah.
That's funny. No doubt. No need for a recall on the 7 Super Bowl wins for the GOAT, though. That's for sure.